Welcome back to Ask the Attorney. We're here with Kevin Kennedy from the Kennedy Law Firm in Clarksville.
That's right. We're here tonight.
We've got lots of calls today, and one thing someone was asking is, you kept saying that you were talking about the TCA. What is the TCA,
I should have explained
Kevin?
that. TCA is Tennessee Code Annotated, and that's what the legislature, they write all the laws, and they said, well, there's a code. And I remember I've had some judges sometimes and other lawyers say, well, you don't have a TCA. And I said, I don't need one because I'm going to travel under a common law theory. I'm going to travel on some theory of the law. And many times you say, Kevin, the door is shut. And I said, well, just crack it just a little bit. And once we get in, it's a whole new ball game.
Yeah. We're dealing with the TCA all the time, so we take it for granted and forget that some people don't know.
I apologize for not making that clear.
All right, we've got lots of calls here, and I think we've got Christy back, who we lost before.
Good.
Hi, Christy.
Hi. Hi, Mr. Kennedy. My name is Christy Stevens. The reason I'm calling tonight is I've got some really awesome questions that I'd love for you to answer.
All right, hit me, Christy.
I'm going to touch on two things. EECO. You know what that is, right?
Yep.
Now hold that in thought. If I have contacted them, I would know right from wrong. Correct. Now then, if I was hired 6 months ago by, and then, oh man. Are you still with me?
Yeah, we're still here.
Okay. And I was hired 6 months ago by a corporate office that guaranteed me $15 an hour. I worked with them for 6 months. I contacted the labor board 3 months into my employment because I was being paid wrong. 2 weeks prior to my so-called firing, I was sexually assaulted and I could not come to work, but had been there for 5.5 months. And when I called to ask them about my insurance that I was supposed to get, I had already supposed to have gotten a week and a half ago, but didn't get my raise. So I, knowing right from wrong, contacted EEOC, and I do have a right to a federal investigation. I have talked with a federal investigator in Nashville, Tennessee, at the federal building, and I don't know where it's going to go from there. But what I'm trying to ask you, Mr. Kennedy, and I may contact your brother Bruce and yourself at your law office, but I would love for you to contact me back, is what grounds do I have as far as civil, criminal, and federal, as far as my case is I wrecked and totaled my $25,000 car. Not even 2 weeks ago, I full coverage insurance. My insurance company will not return my call. Since then, yesterday morning, my car was stolen at my front door.
Wow, you've had a multitude of problems there. Well, I'll address this. You know, if your employment is the EEOC, Equal Employment Opportunity, if you have a complaint in the workplace, you have a right to file an EEOC complaint. The federal government investigates that. If they find that that claim has merit, they will issue you a letter to sue. And so then you can find a lawyer who pursues those kinds of things and sue. Now, she said she was sexually assaulted. Evidently, she knows my brother Bruce. My brother Bruce is a lawyer there with me in Clarksville. Is a good man. Bruce is a real hard worker. And so back on to where we were talking. If she was sexually assaulted, two things. Number one, that is a crime. So she can go and have whoever did this to her arrested, prosecuted, and that is a felony. Number two, you have a state right. You have a federal right to sue with this EEOC. Likewise, you have a state right to sue under that sexual harassment. And there's other laws that you could bring in. Would it be wrongful termination? A host of things. If my insurance was not paying, you have a right to file a complaint with the Tennessee Commissioner on Insurance and explain that they're acting in bad faith, and there are laws out there that make them pay as much as 3 times what they owe because it's a bad faith claim. That's available to you as a remedy.
All right, we've got more calls coming. 737 plus 737 7587 is the number to call. We've got Mike here. Good evening, Mike.
Good evening. How are you?
Good.
Right.
Great. Yes, I have a question, and I'll try to be brief. I was working for this company, and at the end of my contract, my boss wanted to give me a gift in the form of money.
Okay.
So my question is this: the money I was given, but it was tax, and it was a gift. So can you please answer my question right there? Can you tax a gift? I just want to know how it works.
In Tennessee, we can give up to $11,000 as a gift. This gets into the gray areas on bonuses. Just for instance, if you worked with me and I decide, well, I want to give you a little bonus. Well, if I give that to you, that's really the IRS would consider that compensation. I could deduct it off my income tax, and you would have to include it in yours. So it's a decision on the employer. Do they have a right to give you a gift outside of compensation? Absolutely. If they choose to give it to you, most of them always say, okay, here's a bonus, here's $500, here's $1,000, here's $5,000, but they include that in your wages, and yes, you would owe tax on it.
All right. We've got Elizabeth here. Hi, Elizabeth.
Hi, I have a question. I was divorced about 14 years ago, and the judge put in a divorce decree for my ex-husband to pay me alimony.
All right.
I have never received a dime from him.
Okay. Well, first off, once that court order goes into effect and the judge signs it, then that is a court order. 30 days later, if no one appeals it, in the law it's called res judicata, means the thing has already been settled. So you can go get you a lawyer and you can still bring that claim, and if it's all those years you add it up and he owes you that money, plus probably I would ask for pre-judgment interest, and then you would also probably ask, usually in those final orders, they'll say something, if someone has to pursue the collection of it, that you're also entitled to your attorney's fees. So get a copy of your final decree, take it to a divorce, and pursue it.
All right. We've got Brenda here. Hi, Brenda.
Hi.
Hi, Brenda. What can we do for you?
Okay, I have a question. I'll make it brief. My mind just went blank.
That's all right. We do that all the time. Say amen, Amy. We know how
Amen, that's true.
It's the truth.
Okay, I have been deemed disabled. I have had cancer of my right leg. I've had a total of 18 surgeries on my
Wow.
right side, my right leg. I have many doctors that said I'm disabled.
Yes.
That work. I'm presently on a walker. I have gone to the Social Security office, I don't know how many times. I have filed and I have gone to a lawyer. Everybody says I cannot draw my disability. But the Social Security office has got to a point they won't even take an application on me.
Well, that really doesn't make sense. As a general rule, if the doctors say that you are disabled, and many times it gets into the gray areas, is it 100% disability and is it permanent? Those are some magic words, and sometimes doctors are reluctant to do that. But if you do get that, then I'd say that you just go right on, and if they deny it, then you appeal it. And if they deny, many times the people are turned down 2 and 3 times. I don't like the system. I wish it wasn't like that. But that is the system that we work in, and you're just going to have to find a lawyer that will just keep the squeaky door gets the oil. And you know, when I always say, well, you know, they say I just get tired of fighting, I say, hello, come in. We all do, but we cannot give up. And if you do, anybody can fold your hands and quit and go home. And but you know, if it's a Social Security claim, many times if they find out and they pursue it, they will give you all your back pay back to the time when you actually filed.
All right. We've got Hiram here. Hi, Hiram. Oh, I'm sorry, Karen.
Yes, I had a question about eviction.
All right.
Yes.
Okay, now, if the landlord is evicting for possession of the apartment and you owe a little bit of back rent,
Yes.
would they let you, if you get to court, will the judge maybe let you pay your back rent and possibly stay?
Well, here's what you've got. Number one, if you're behind in rent, he's probably got a lease, and it's probably a part of that lease, and it breaches the lease, failure to pay rent. Now, you certainly have a right to go back to the landlord and say, look, I got behind. By the time we get to court, I'm going to pay this. Will you dismiss it? We see those negotiations every week. And so that's certainly some of your options. What I always like to do is, what are my options? And he can't put you out. Remember, they have to give you 30 days written notice. Then they sue you, and even after they once get a judgment, the judgment for possession, you still have 10 days before you have to vacate the premises.
All right, and we get a lot of landlord-tenant questions here.
Lots of problems out there with landlord-tenant.
Yes, good advice there. We've got Chuck here. Hi, Chuck.
Hey, how are you?
Good.
Right.
How can we help
Warren,
you tonight?
This is Chuck Brown.
Hey, Chuck. Good to talk to you.
It's good to talk to you. So I got a question. If I'm currently employed here in the state of Tennessee, and I have a job offer in another state,
All right.
and I take that offer, okay, and move to that state, and I'm actually currently in a 12-month lease, and it's 6 months into the lease. Is there anything that protects me because of that job situation, going to another state, having to break that lease?
I got you. Now, really, the only time that ever really comes into place when they're in the military, and usually the military have an exclusion and they can get out of their leases. If we are just private public citizens, when you sign the 12-month lease, you're pretty much in it. Now, what we do, we see a lot of people that negotiate the lease, and if there are things that have taken place, for instance, that they have not lived up to their part, their end of this agreement, then you can bring those things up and say, look, y'all were supposed to spray for the bugs. The bugs have been going crazy here, or there's mold here, and I need to get out of my lease. Can we negotiate? I'll give you 1 month, and you keep the deposit, and we're done, and then get a written release. But if I had 6 months and it was a big lease, I'd get a lawyer and let them try to negotiate for you, and that's what lawyers do. And they say, well, you owe it. Remember this, lawyers, a creative lawyer is worth his weight in gold. You remember one of the lawyers that told me they work for a wealth management firm. And I said, what'd you learn? And they said, the richest people have the best lawyers. They have the best accountants. Why? Because they pay for themselves. And I've learned that over my years of experience. Get the best lawyer you can get, and always get a lawyer. There is power in knowledge. That's why this program is so valuable. You can sit here and just learn and learn and learn and learn and say, hey, I heard Kevin Kennedy say this. Go to the bank on it.
Yep, and we will put Kevin's information on the screen at the end of the show, too. And keep calling that number, 737 plus 737 7587. We've got Cherie here tonight. Hi, Cherie. Cherie, are you with us? We've been having some problems with that line, too. So we've got Nikita here. Nikita?
Hello, Nikita?
And Nikita, are you there? And you're going to have to turn down the volume on your TV set.
I have another question to ask.
Okay.
I have another question to ask. I work for Goodwill.
And Nikita, if you will,
here.
please turn down the volume on your TV set all the way and just talk to us through the phone.
Okay. I worked for Goodwill for 1 year, and I got suspended, and don't know why I got suspended. They did not give me anything to tell me why I was suspended. I stayed suspended for 3 weeks before I knew I was terminated. I don't know why I was terminated. I don't know nothing. And I did file a complaint against them with EEOC.
Yes, ma'am.
So
Well,
I don't know what's going to become of this.
well, that's why we have that complaint department, because, they can go in and get answers that you can't get sometimes. And so I would have done the same thing that you did. Remember, they can say, well, they've discriminated against me because of my age or for whatever reason, my religion or whatever, and they never would say it. Well, when the federal government comes in and does their investigation, they're going to have to give an explanation. And these federal investigators, they understand you turn over the documents or else. And so that's why they're required to keep some unemployment or some employment records.
All right, and keep calling that number at the bottom of your screen, 737 plus 737 7587. We're going to take a quick break, but we will be back with Kevin Kennedy after this.
All around.